Welcome aboard the plane train. Please hold on. This train is departing. The next stop is for Seagates. C as in
Say it.
Leg out.
But that being
Yeah.
But that being said, oh yeah.
With that being said.
With that being said, but that being said.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of With That Being Said podcast. It is yours truly, that being put on this earth to create, empower, and develop. The one and only big homie Sid in the house. Thank y'all for being here with me. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to this podcast as well. Speaking of creating, empowering, developing, y'all like that intro? Hot, right? I empower myself to create that, and I love it. If I must say so myself, I really love it. But let me know what y'all think about it in the comments. With that being said, enough about that. Let's get on into what we're going to be talking about today. This episode is going to be entitled Silent Battles, Loud Truths. And it's going to be about veteran suicide. I'm putting veteran on the front of it, but of course, not all of you are in the military or serve in the military, even though you might have family like that. But you know, I also have civilian friends who, you know, have gone through certain things and have troubles. And in this day and age, you know, it's kind of heavy out there. I even saw a headline the other day about the Jamaican Miss Universe, who they found wrapped in some sheets around her neck. I don't know what's come of that story, but it seemed like she was putting out some mental health cries and letting people know that she was really going through some dark times. And a lot of people are feeling heavy out there, so it's been laid on my heart, especially because now suicide is what they call a permanent solution to a temporary problem. And too many of our families, too many veterans, too many of our friends, our neighbors feel like it might be the only way out. Now I want to talk a little bit about the transition of going from being in the military, where it's somewhat structured. You got certain people who either just have your back because you're close to them, or sometimes they're really obligated to have your back because of where they fall in your chain of command, or where they fall as in proximity to you. I'm not saying that the military is all of that, and you know, sometimes some of that stuff can multiply the problem if you don't have a good support system. And regardless of if you are civilian or military, a good support system, a good communication line with somebody that you're close to, somebody that you can trust, is always better than having nothing. But from going from the military, transitioning back into the civilian world, where sometimes, you know, people don't speak that, it's like you don't even speak the same language as people who you will pat you on the back and say thank you for your service and so on and so forth. But when it comes down to it, it's just not the same. You don't get the same feeling from some of those things. And I think sometimes that weighs heavy on a lot of our veterans and people who have served once they get out of the military. So let's talk about it. Because on July 23rd of this year, I got a message on Facebook from my friend David Lamyontte's sister that Lamyontte had taken his own life. It came as a shock to me, and of course, you know, it weighed heavy on me. Me and Lamyontte didn't talk very often, you know, like deep conversations. We didn't call each other on the phone or nothing like that, but sometimes he would see my content and comment on it, you know, and then say certain things, ask me how I was doing. I think the last time we'd actually spoken was in January. He told me he was in Carolina, or one of the Carolinas. I told him I was in ATL. We, you know, said, hey, if you're ever over here, holler at me. If I'm ever over there, I'll holler at you, so on and so forth. But I think she saw those messages and was looking for people to reach out to and, you know, hit me up. So I put a message out on my Facebook, letting other people know about what had happened. And that spread and other people started hearing about it. That day I got phone calls from people that I hadn't heard from in a while. You know, my boy Blackman, he called me in tears because him and Lamyontte actually talked all the time. They had been in conversation for a little bit and stuff. And Blackman it was about to be Lamyontte's birthday, and Blackman was about to call him, and then he saw my message first and, you know, had his heart crushed because he had gotten that news. And the big thing about Lamyontte was that he was into bodybuilding. And when I met him, he was all cut up and swole. I thought he was always a gym dude. I just thought he was one of those dudes who worked out on the time. But I think I went away TDY, or I went on a deployment or something, came back, and he was fat, you know. And that I asked him about, like, what's going on here, right? But he explained to me that, you know, he has his cut season, and then when he's off, he don't really give a damn. And for me, that was the first time that I realized, or that it was a shock to me, because I thought, you know, the Muscle Magazine and fit people are in the gym 24/7 all the time, you know. But that was my first look at, well, nah, you know, you can go from being in competitions and muscular to not really caring. Kind of gave me a even greater respect for him, because I was kind of like, well, if he can make the dedication to go and do these types of things and get cut up and get fit and do whatever, and then not care for a minute, to me that took a lot of discipline, a lot of dedication. And honestly, I just felt like, okay, if he can do that, then he can pretty much do anything, you know. So when I got the news, of course, like I said, it was just a shock to me, because he always was one of those people who looking out for others, giving others good advice, you know, just to me, all around good dude. And a lot of people that called me, a lot of conversations that I had around that time, a lot of people agree with that. I think he even made it to Muscle and Fitness magazine for the Air Force at one point in time. So just to put that in the context of how inspirational, you know, he was and he could be toward people. Another person that I got news that had taken her own life was Alyssa Hayes. Now, Hayes and I were stationed together in Japan. She was on my flight. She was one of my troops. She had some ups and downs and hard times, as we all do. Hayes was the first person who put me on Unc status. I think she put on her Facebook one time, like, said it's like that uncle you can go to with your problems and still remain cool with. And you know, that touched my heart, because I mean, I did look at her like a little niece or something like that, you know. After we had left Japan and went on, I don't know the details surrounding her situation, but you know, I guess she fell on more hard times and just, from my understanding, took her own life. Now, neither Lamyontte or Hayes is around to really tell us if being a veteran or military service or any of that played a factor in them making a decision that they made. But the truth of the matter is that, according to the numbers, in 2002, there were 6,407 veteran suicides. That's about 7 to 18 suicides a day. Veterans die by suicide nearly double the rate of non-veterans. Now, I'm not trying to scare anybody with the numbers or anything like that. I'm just trying to put it into context. And from personal experience and having Hayes, Lamyontte, I think there was Timoteo, and there are a few other people whose names, you know, maybe I wasn't so close to them, but I either knew by way of somebody else or had been around or was stationed with in some type of way, who have taken their lives. and as well as a lot of conversation that I have with my civilian friends, even when they having a hard time. You know, I'm not qualified or anything or whatever, but I do, you know, friends do call you and vent, and sometimes you got to kind of be there to talk somebody off the ledge, right? There are experts out there who can handle this stuff. Now, I'm no expert or anything like that, but while I was active duty and been a military member, you know, we get trained on this stuff all the time. You know, we got CBTs, we got annual training. I think even the CDCs had some type of statement in there that of who is the most likely person to commit suicide. I think it was like a white male E4 having financial or family problems. Don't quote me on that, but I think there's something. I'm pretty sure there's something in there like that. Y'all hit me up and let me know. I'm sure there's somebody out there correct me. But and a lot of times you end up falling into a position of being that first line supervisor or that ranger buddy or that person who is there or around when somebody else is going through a hard time and not feeling that well. So you kind of have to fill in the gap until the real experts can come along. Of course, dial 988 and prompt 1 if you are ever having thoughts of suicide, or you can't really even call the VA and ask a regular question without them saying, hey, you think about killing yourself? I'm like, no, I ain't thinking about killing myself. I just want my money, you know what I'm saying? That's all I want. But we had plenty of suicide awareness briefings. We had plenty of PowerPoints, checklists, and all of that kind of stuff. But it's real, you know, and it was out there. Even the military knows that, hey, sometimes people go through these hard times and this happens. And it happens very often in this group of people. Hayes was on my flight, and a group of us would just hang out when we were off duty. We would take trips on ITT trips, go explore the island, get together, cook out, play video games, and just be there for each other. So in having that close contact with somebody and understanding, hey, you know, we made the best of some of the worst times with each other. You know, there were a lot of situations in being that close contact with each other that, you know, you were able there to be for somebody to be there for them to talk to. But once you know, one of the things about it is you can come to a close-knit group of people like that, but eventually people are going to get orders, you're going to get separated, and you might not just stay in touch like that, you know, out of sight, out of mind. People do have their certain people that they keep in contact with. I have a group of friends, me and 3 other guys who have a group chat, and we check in every now and then, but we don't even really call each other or talk every day like that. But if one of us falls on hard times, or if one of us is feeling low or something like that, we can always hit the group chat, or even on the sidebar, not even in the group, but hit somebody up individually and just have a conversation and be there for each other. So if you don't have something like that, I empower you to develop something like that, and just, you're not out here by yourself. You know, we repeat that. It don't even matter who it is or what it is. You have to find somebody that you can trust. And I empower a lot of you to be that somebody that people can trust. So a lot of those things can be an issue out. I think the suicide rate spikes the first year after separation from the military because of financial stress, relationship stress, and breakdowns, legal trouble, stuff like that. Because not everybody gets out honorably. Some people go out and are in some hot water as they're getting out. I mean, and honestly, a lot of times that I've seen, military and the chain of command can make that even harder for a person who is getting out. You get put on echo flight, you get put on picking up cigarette butts for 6 months. You got some other NCO who a lot of times is a piece of shit too. I mean, I just go be honest. A lot of times it's a piece of shit too. That's why he's doing his job. He can't even, you know, they don't trust him to do nothing else, so he get put in. Or you got somebody who that's not even his main job, but for some reason he's been given his tasks. So in order to keep his ass out of hot water, he gotta be hard on the ones who are getting out. Uh, I think there should be a better system to that. It may have changed since I've been in, and it's not like that everywhere. But a lot of times, and I think that's one thing that society does to people in general is, if you mess up or you make a mistake, a lot of times your mistake is put on Front Street in front of everybody else. Unfortunately, a lot of people who are hiding their mistakes or faking the mistakes or act like they're perfect or never make mistakes end up shitting on the person who made the mistake. And that's something, it's not a good way to be. You never know what a person's going through, and when the rain falls, it falls on us all. So there's gonna come a day when you are having a bad time, you're going through some hard times, and karma's a bitch sometimes. So you don't want to. It's better for you to be there for somebody. It's better for you to at least. You don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. Don't pass judgment on to the next person because they're having a hard time. It's best to try to find something to encourage them or something to take their mind off of it. Or if you can't do it, put them in the direction of somebody who can. We're not here to fix each other's problems all the time, but we can always give a positive advice or point somebody in the direction of where they can find some help if you don't have a way to help them. And the thing about it is, I really don't know the details of what Lamyontte was going through or what Hayes was going through or what any of these other people were going through at the time. After the fact I hear things here and there, but I'm not one to speculate, and they're not here to answer the questions, so I don't know. But from my own personal experience in getting out and making that transition, it I think touches my heart because I understand firsthand how hard it can be that first year, 2 years, 3 years after transitioning from being active duty to retiring from the military or getting out. My transition out of the military wasn't smooth. I retired from the military in 2017, and I understand that first year being hard. Going from getting paid on the 1st and 15th to now you're working for an hour. I mean, it took me a while to even find a job. And my resume, even though it's security and all this type of stuff, I could have got a contracting job. I could have got a job at Northrop making $80,000 a year, or any of these other jobs that were out there, even less than that. But I chose to want to go do stand-up comedy. You don't get paid shit for that for a while, So now my structure and my stability is thrown off. But that's something that I chose to do. And it wasn't easy. And there were hard times. It created relationship problems with the girl that I was dating, I believe. It created issues with my children's moms, and I'm out here now where I was being okay and being able to maintain myself. Now I'm down to kind of having to pinch pennies and have arguments about stupid shit to me, because in my eyes, that when I got it, you got it. And all this time of me being able to take care of other people and look out for other people's problems and be the strong person. Now that I need a little bit of help, or now that I need some support, it's not there. And that's unfortunately that can happen a lot of times, because and I'm not even saying it's the other people's fault to a degree, because maybe sometimes they just don't know how to support you, since you've always been the one. You've never been the one who needed support. And then going back into the workforce, I got a job working at one of my episodes from one of my earlier episodes of the podcast talks about this job that I had out in California as a security guard, making $17 an hour, working at the gate. I wasn't trying to, be in charge of anything or whatever, but for some reason it seemed like the director was intimidated by me or something like that. I don't really know why, because I'm not trying to come for your job, but I think coming from the military and having that resume and having that discipline, and sometimes the way you speak or calling some shit out, or just kind of you come on, any job that I've had since I've been out, you go in and you see the disorganization of simple things, and all you want to do is just organize it. Like, my day at work would be so much better if this shit was organized. I'm not trying to step on no toes. I'm not trying to point fingers at anybody. I'm not trying to do anything but just make my work day go easier, not frustrate myself. But a lot of times those types of things, like I said, I that's why I'm just sticking to comedy and podcasting right now and just following my dream, because first of all, I did a job that I didn't want to do for 20 years. So at this point, I don't want to go, no, I don't want to be a cop. No, I don't want to work security. No, I don't want to do this. And at this point in my life, I have the option to not to do it. But it's not easy. And not everybody is in that position to be able to have that option sometimes. Or even if they do have that option, it's scary for them to take it because they have so many people relying on them and depending on them, and for me to understand that, I think it was Lamyontte's birthday was gonna be in the next couple of days. He had a trip planned with his daughters and stuff like that, and for him to make that decision at that point in time, like I said, it still breaks my heart, and because I know how hard it can be, but me personally, I have never gotten to that point. Amazingly, you know what I'm saying? Like, I haven't gotten to that point, and I don't think I ever will get to that point. So if anybody ever tell you that said took himself out, I got a list of about 5 names that need to be investigated. Because let me tell you, when I was 14 years old, my mom cut the toes out of my high top sneakers. Had me walking around with open-toed high top sneakers on for a whole summer. So if I can survive that, I think I can survive anything. But all jokes aside, even though I say I don't feel like I will ever come to that point, I can understand the pressures of life and how things get to people to where, it's hard, just in conversations I have with people and seeing my friends go through things and the things that I've been through, when life gets heavy. I don't know, that's the option that some people seem to take. And I just feel like having a conversation about it will help somebody to survive another day, help somebody to understand that they're not always the only one going through things. Find some resilience and find somebody to talk to who can, help you get through some moments. Don't feel like you're out there alone. Don't feel like there's no help. Don't feel like that nobody cares. Because we're all connected in some type of way. Like I said, I've never met Lamyontte's family. I've never met Hayes' family. But their decision still affected me. You know what I'm saying? It still brings a sadness to my heart. When I think about it, my thoughts still go to those people who I've never met before. And, I have a certain amount of compassion toward that situation. So that's why I just wanted to talk about it a little bit. We got about 10 more minutes left on the podcast. And I think to go back into that camaraderie and connection of being in the military and being in, especially if you're overseas with somebody, especially if you're deployed with somebody, especially if you're, on the ground with somebody. And unfortunately, for those who are still in, those who may be in now, it seems like there's a lot of stuff going on that where a lot of people are going to have to depend on each other. I personally don't like some of the talk that's been going on, or I don't understand it being how things should be. It seems like a lot of division can come from the types of things that are being said. And, I don't know, like it comes down to a lot of you are wearing a uniform. A lot of you are supposed to be able to feel that camaraderie, but aside from the uniform, it's coming down to other deciding factors that might make you have to pick a side, might make you have to want to decide to get out of the military, might make you might make your work environment a little bit tougher because of the drastic changes, because there are certain people, you may have joined for this reason to make a better life for yourself, to make a better life for your family, to advance yourself in a way. But people join for different reasons. And I know there's no doubt that there are those people out there who join to train and to have a underlying fraternity, an underlying brotherhood, an underlying motive that they can express off duty, I suppose. But that's another topic for another day. Don't feel isolated. Don't feel abandoned. Don't feel lonely. Find somebody, find a group, or reach out to your family or your church or something like that to talk to. Because, like I said, I know, especially for those overseas and foreign lands or deployed, sometimes that isolation or being afar from there in a different country can make you feel like don't have anybody around. So and keep that in mind. And if you're in that location and you know somebody like that, somebody reaches out to you, just try to give them a helping hand. And as we get ready to wrap it up, I want to say that I think life's problems, I think the analogy of, I think like if you throw a frog into hot water, it'll die immediately. But if you slowly warm the water up around it, it'll survive longer, something like that. Is how sometimes these problems come about and life gets heavy for people. It's not just like, work things and family things, and just the stress of life can become overwhelming to people, and just seems like you're just the straw that broke the camel's back, so to speak, away from making a decision that you cannot take back. And a lot of times pride keeps people from speaking up about it. A lot of times job security, maybe, because I know a lot of people have clearances and have jobs to where, you are dependent upon to be stable and have your mental capacity around. Coming in the military, especially if you ever we had a program that the personnel reliability program, and in that you couldn't, in order to perform your job, you couldn't have anything that was mental or anything. So I think, it just gets you accustomed to hiding everything or pushing everything down and toughening up and putting on this shell in order to perform your duties, and not really letting go and having a release for that type of stuff. And so I think it shows in other ways. I mean, even though I say I wouldn't go that route, there came a point in time in like around mid 2023, I'll say, like May of 2023, my daughters were graduating, but me and my oldest daughter were arguing. My relationship wasn't working, work wasn't working, like everything was just going on around me. And, in order to cope, I was drinking a lot more and just dragging around. So, that is, thank God that I found, or thank God that he spoke to me and gave me an insight on, said you might not take your life suddenly, but even drinking and partying and trying to find all these other means of escape is kind of maybe, slowly killing yourself in a way, So I thank God for that wake up call and the clarity on that, to be able to kind of peel back and start taking better care of myself, and really understand that a lot of times you do those things to escape certain problems and escape certain things, but a lot of the times it only multiplies the problem, or the problems are still going to be, it's not a real solution. You're not doing anything to really fix those problems. And so that's why you'll see me on my social media going on hikes, talking about this and talking about that, because I feel like those things can help your mental capacity, can help you stay focused, and give you a chance to unplug away from the bullshit of the world. That can be very overwhelming, and the grind can be very overwhelming, and just trying to reach these goals. And there's nothing wrong with having goals. There's nothing wrong with having dreams. There's nothing wrong with wanting to, achieve certain things. But in achieving those things, and wanting to maintain these things, you still have to take care of yourself. You still have to have that mental capacity. You still have to be grounded within yourself, so that when the hard times do come, it's like anybody that works out. If you work up your chest, your arms, and all big up here, but you don't work on the foundation, you don't work on your legs, then you're not proportioned. So it's the same thing as you climb higher, as you make more money, as you get more of this and more of that, as your relationship grows, as your family grows. You still need to have that foundation. You still need to come back and kind of reground yourself and stay grounded, and keep in touch with your own mental capacity, so that when hard times do come, because hard times are always going to come, then you can still maintain, and you won't be like, oh, my job is I got promoted and I'm making this much now, and whatever it is, and then one little incident, road rage or whatever, causes you to lose your temper and fly off the handle, and put yourself in a position of losing all of the things that you have gained, or all the progress that you have made, if that makes any sense. So just keep that in mind. As I get ready to close, the Veterans Crisis Hotline is 988. Dial 988, then press 1 and go from there. That's the information that I've been given, that I know is out there, and that'll put you in contact with somebody that you can talk to if you're having issues, if you're having problems. Never hesitate to hit me if you don't have my number, send me a message if you want to talk, or if you have somebody close to you that you can talk to if you are having a hard time, if you need to. Always, there is therapy. I say couple this also talking to friends and talking to people. Sometimes just go talk to a therapist. I've talked to a therapist a few times. I know the VA provides therapists, and also there are private therapists that you can talk to. Just talk to somebody, and that's like a good way to have a neutral person to be able to vent to, You won't feel judged and stuff like that. So therapy does really help people to get through some of these things. If you're having financial issues, go to financial counseling and just get some help on getting a better understanding of how to manage money and what you can do. There's help out there for you. And the real big thing for it is, for me, don't wait until the problem is out of your control. You know, if you're having issues, start to kind of fix those things for yourself initially, and just have somebody that you can talk to and try to prevent yourself from getting to a place to where if the walls come crushing down, then you're going to be overwhelmed or feel too ashamed to tell somebody or something like that. Life after the military doesn't come with an instruction book. Life, period, doesn't come with an instruction book. We all out here just trying to make it. But we know we survive and we get through it, especially, you know, helping each other out and being supportive of one another. So in closing, thank you all for watching. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Hit me in the comments for more conversation. Let's keep the conversation going. Share it with somebody that you think. Just share it. You know, and people come across it. If they need to hear it, then they'll hear it. That's the best way to do it. I appreciate that because I feel like this is something I don't want to get any more news of any friends choosing to go this route. Really, if I can avoid it, if I feel like I could do something to help somebody not make that decision, then I feel like that's a good thing. Make sure you also check me out on other platforms. Check me out on Social Mechanics. I'll leave all the information in the bio or in the information for this episode. You can check me out on Social Mechanics. You can also check me out on Everything T with my boy T, just having conversations as well. Y'all let me know what y'all want to talk about next. With that being said, make sure you keep on creating, empowering, developing. I'm out.